Alright, so here we are on the home page of the Build Your Own Table system. The first thing you have to do is you have to pick a category of table. These are the series, and I'll talk about those a little bit later in the presentation. For the series that I picked a signature series. So you click on the signature series, and there's the signature. That's one of the signature series tables. The next step, you click on model, and you get to pick out of the tables they have here. You have to pick which one you prefer. I picked the Seville. I wanted something that was kind of contemporary, also sort of elegant. Not too arrogant though. Alright, so here we have the Seville, and as you see, every time you make a change, the computer software puts the change in. I picked maple as my wood, and then I also picked a black finish. Like I said, I wanted it to be somewhat subtle. I didn't want it to be too flashy. But as you see, every time I pick something here, it changes. For the rail, and if you don't know what the rail is, that's the part on the pool table that everybody leans on or sets their drink on there like they're not supposed to. I wanted something a little more fancy than the Cavalier you see here. So I went with the New Orleans. The next big step I had to make was the sights. Prior to buying this table, I didn't know that you could even have a different kind of sight, but I chose the mother of pearl sights, much like these. You also have to pick the species of wood. I picked cherry. See if it'll work here for me. I'm sorry. There we go. And it's that exact same finish there you see on the screen. The next part of the BYOT system is picking the apron. I went with something very subtle, the Seville, and it's actually called the Seville. It's a very easy, it's not too fancy. That's that part. The legs on the Seville are like you see in the picture up here. That's how they are on all Seville tables. The next thing was the pocket, and I did not want a fringy pocket. It was way out of my league. The shield pocket just has a leather shield around it, and we'll show that to you up close and personal here in just a second. And then the cloth. The cloth was a big deal to me because the cloth they use is imported from England. It's what's called cross woven, so any way the ball goes, there's no going with the grain. There's no one way that the ball is going to roll faster. Also, the cloth they use is much thinner. Though it does wear out faster, the ball rolls faster, and it's a competition type table. I picked the competition green you see here. Now the picture on the computer screen, I'm sorry, is a little darker than what the actual table that I'll show you that I actually bought was, but I'll show you that in just one second. Another big part of the BYOT system that sets them apart from their competitors is the room setting. You can actually pick different room settings and to see what the table is going to look like. Very unique, very unique. No other table producer does this. So that concludes my presentation on the BYOT system. Now we're going to go back to the PowerPoint. Now I'm going to talk about some of the different tables. Not so much the table choices, but more so the different Olhausen tables. Like the BYOT system that I just showed you. I showed you all the choices there. Now I'm going to just talk a little bit about the tables. The tables Olhausen makes are not cheap at all. The average table is about $6,200, and the cheapest table they make is about $1,400. Their cheapest table and Sears Company's cheapest table is totally different. Sears uses a laminate, much like you might find in someone's garage flooring or walls, and it's cheap and the ball does not roll properly. You need to have real slate. And that's what really sets Olhausen apart. Even Brunswick has a few tables that have a laminate top. The slate is it's that clunk that you hear when the ball hits. And it's very professional to use slate, though it is very expensive. And having a $6,200 pool table for an average price, they're actually producing one right now for a casino in Las Vegas. It's actually about $20,000. It has gold leafing in the side of it. The table that I bought was right around $7,000, so this makes it a tough choice, a very tough choice. It's a big expense, but it's a lot of fun. They have so many different tables. The BYOT system really helped me single which one I really wanted out. Options galore. That really made it tough for me. As we went through the BYOT system, we saw the different options. This picture here just kind of represents the different woods. I did not know where to start, and I'm really glad that the BYOT system helped me through that. The sizes of the table, I didn't get to talk much about that there. There are actually about 4 different sizes. The size that I bought was a 9-foot table. Any bigger and it wouldn't have fit in my house. But if you have a little area, there's a 7-foot table. There's a bunch of different sizes, and they're for different uses. And again, I'm sorry about the TV cutting the bottom of the slide off here. I'm not sure. I'm not that computer savvy here. So it actually says each part of the table is customizable. Like I said, you can actually get your name engraved into it if you'd like. Let's talk about some of the recent changes. This is back on the business profile. I kind of verged away from it there for a minute. In 2006, they moved from California around San Diego, where they bought that company, to Tennessee. Why Tennessee, you ask? Well, they moved to Portland, Tennessee, which is right above Nashville, Tennessee. Obviously, a lot of country singers are there. Not so much of their market, but it's also very close to all the major highways. They're right there at it. As you see the highways here, these are the major highways. And this got them closer to their customers. They saw more of the customers on the East Coast and in the West, not quite the West Coast. So moving to Portland, it did cost a lot of money to move, but it also saved them a lot of money and made them a lot of money in the long run. Another major point for them moving to Portland was the fact that their major suppliers are one's in West Virginia and one's down here in Atlanta. And it makes it about a day's drive away from most of their suppliers. Obviously, they can't drive to England to get the cloth. That's why that's flown across the sea. But moving just really helped them out. They continue to change the layout of the plant. That was one of their major problems, and they continue to see a little bit of issue with it. The way the warehouse is set up in the back, the wood, middle manufacturing, in painting. And that way, it's just a smooth sailing from the ground up build. But they can't quite get it right. The CFO that I talked to, and also Donnie, the president of the company, they both said that there could be a little more efficiency in it, and there's too much free space. They wouldn't elaborate too much on that, but I'm sure what that means is that there's a lot of space not being used, or a lot of space that could be used needs to be taken and used in a good manner for the company. The future. The new CFO they recently hired, he really hopes to cut the costs and drive the sales up. They've seen about a 20% increase in the past 2 months. And one of the coolest things they're doing is coming up with new ideas, new packages for the Christmas season. That means they're going to have a pool table, you get a cue stick set, you also get maybe a bar for a corner area of your room, or a shuffleboard and a light. And the packages are running about $20,000, but they've seen an increase in sales because you can buy a pool table, a poker table, or a shuffleboard table, combine 2 different tables, and you get out for about a third of the price you would if you bought them all separately. The competitors are kind of dwindling right now. Brunswick is their main competitor. They're having a tough time in the economy. Obviously Brunswick, some of their tables are a little more expensive than Olhausen, so they're seeing some tough money situations here. They're also deciding to globalize their name recently, and they haven't done a whole lot with it, but they're starting to ship some tables to Europe. They sent 2 weeks ago to South America. So their name's getting out there, and they've seen a lot of people, a lot of people from other parts of the world is, oh, it's made in America, it's great. Well, in the billiard world, it really is great, and they're banking off of that. All right, being the best in billiards is not an easy thing, and everybody at Olhausen will tell you that. Being the best is a lifetime warranty. They're using extreme caution when shipping. They're using very tight TQM. They continue to deliver the best tables that they possibly can. They're even going green, and how they do that is a shock, and I'll go through that here in just a second. And they're made in America, which I said they're banking off that right now. The way they're going green is they're using a little less harsh lacquer, and they're actually reusing the lacquer. They actually spray the lacquer on. They spray a primer on, and then the lacquer on top. And that's a weird system because most people think, well, the wood needs to show through. Well, the primer they're using is actually a clear primer, which